Hello and welcome to Technology Simplicity YouTube channel. My name is Chong. Thank you for watching Go Digital Live series so far and stay with me, from the very beginning, or you are new here. Just to share you, Go Digital Live series is about discussing major IT topics, from UX to project management to how to decide tools. In the past, I even actually compare whether you are going to use Microsoft Word versus Google Docs, which one's better, and so on. So if you have a topic, you can welcome to suggest the next topic that you want to hear from me, which I will actually going to do my very personal intensive research on the topic itself and share with you my personal opinions towards the topics, and we will have a discussion, and each of the episode we are going to have a giveaway as well. This is what I promised also. So in a very short 30 minutes we're going to cover a lot of things and we're going to discuss a lot, and it's not just during this live, and we're also going to discuss further and continue even after the live end. The comment will go on. So let's go to today's topic. Today is about big data analysis, and when it comes to this word, a lot of people say, yeah, I'm actually doing big data as well. But when they actually look at the logos here, they start to question, okay, am I actually part of it? Then only they realize they might be not part of it. Okay, don't worry about it. Let's talk about the tools. Let's talk about the tips. Let's talk about the common misunderstanding towards big data analysis. Let's go. So as I promised, no. Okay lah. Okay, let's review. First of all, before I continue this topic, I really want to thank every one of you, every single one of you. Even you are just watching 1 second of the video, or even you actually click dislike, because each action actually contribute to what it is today. Okay, finally the channel reached about 35,000 views and finally reaching about 4,000 watching hours. Okay, as I mentioned many times before, I understand this is not a entertainment kind. Okay, even though I'm trying very much to actually evolve this into edutainment. Okay, I'm trying my best, but my style is more on sharing my experience as well as education and knowledge. Okay, so 3.9 thousands watching hours is incredible for me. Incredible, because each video is as short as 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, for the live session, yes, it's much more longer, about 30 minutes, but just 30 minutes. So to hit these hours is thank you so much. Yes, okay. Let's carry on to today's very great topic. But before that, as I promised, okay, this episode will give away Techpedia, okay, the technology transformation success story in an encyclopedia methods. Okay, the first issue of Hall of Fame have been released, and we are currently gathering the next versions, issue 2 of Hall of Fame. So if you have certain transformation story that you want to share out, please try a lot. Okay, allow me to say try a lot, because you're not necessarily qualified in that. Okay, it really depends on your experience, and there's a justifications there. Okay, please go through the website. You can refer to the video description link. Okay, however, if you want to proceed to the Hall of Fame, there are certain fees is required, including printing out the certs and simple stuff. Okay, you can check it out the website, and today I'm going to give away one chance of Hall of Fame. Yes, it's cool, right? Okay, so let's continue. Okay, today's topic is about big data analysis. I know this is huge words. When it comes to big data, a lot of people say like, yeah, I got like 300,000 of gigabytes data. Is it considered big data? Yes and no. Okay, let me explain to you part by part. Okay, the very first one is, allow me to say this first, disclaimer. Presentation are intended for education purpose and not trying to replace any independent professional judgment. So if you are someone professional like data scientists out there, if you see any differentiations or you want to correct certain mistake that I made, please, you're welcome, more than welcome to put in the comment. Okay, because this is for learning purpose. Okay, let's learn from each other. Okay, as for those who are new here, you can actually download, access to the slide after the live, 24 to 48 hours. And if you see this, either one of the clickable, legends there, so you're welcome to go and click it. So it's clickable, so you can access to the resources, the reference, the links, the video, or any materials that I'm going to cover in the slide. Okay, you're welcome to use it. So let's carry on. Okay, at first, what is big data? Okay, before we talk about analysis, I know I come out a very long definition, right? It's quite boring, but let me put it this way. First, when it comes to big data, we talk about is too large or too complex to deal with traditional data processing application software. Which means if you're talking about, let me give you an example. Let's say you want to store a lot of data in Excel. Do you know there's a limitation in Excel? Okay, later I'm going to share with you what's the limitation. So which means, let's say a very simple idea is you have more data that a Microsoft Excel one sheet cannot cover. It's considered large, but it's not too large yet properly. Okay, so if your data is too large or too complex and cannot deal with a traditional software, that is considered big data. And we talk about analyze, analysis challenges, including how you're going to capture the data, store the data, analyze the data, search the data, share the data, transfer the data, and visualize the data, querying, update, and privacy, and talk about source. So all these are the challenge when it comes to analyze big data. Okay, the rest, the fundamental of big data is they will actually always also share with three key components, even though if you go in Google search now, there are some saying there are 5V, 6V, or even 8Vs. But for me, three simple key concepts: volume, variety, and velocity. Okay, what does all this mean? I know you still didn't get it right. Okay, let's carry on first. By the way, allow me to put up this very old school meme, but I found that is very relevant to what I'm going to share here as well, which is big data is like teenage sex. Okay, the teenage always, they all talk about it, and nobody really knows how to do it, and everybody thinks everyone else is doing it, so everyone claims they are doing it. Is it correct? Sounds familiar, right? I'm sure you must hear someone else saying that their company or their agency or they actually involved in some big data project and so on. But if you actually questions more and try to understand, then you realize it's not really big data yet. Okay, I'm not saying that big data is something high level and normal data is not powerful. I'm not trying to differentiate in that way. In fact, just try to get things right lah. Okay, so let's carry on. Okay, the informal definition of big data, as per I mentioned just now, there are three V's, right? Volume, variety, and velocity. So in terms of these three parts, let me give you some more idea. Number one, in terms of volume, it's about storage. So if you're still talking about gigabyte, you are not in big data world yet. Okay, we talk about terabytes, we talk about petabytes. In fact, actually is much more around. Okay, I'm going to share more. Then it's talk about transactions, we talk about sensors. When it comes to velocity, we talk about almost real time, we talk about periodic, we talk about streams, we talk about batch. Then when we talk about variety, it could be many, image, video, songs, XML, whatever it is. So three types. So if you cover all these three, you are in big data. Still didn't get it right. Okay, never mind. Let's carry on. So again, what is big data? I still don't understand what the 3V concept and then what? Okay, don't worry. Let me just go with you. Okay, but give me 2 seconds. Let me double check whether I'm recording. Yes. Okay, let's carry on. So I'm gonna check one more time. Yeah, we are here. Okay, so what exactly is big data? Okay, let me explain in other way. Small data. Okay, again, I'm not trying to say small data is not useful. It's simply one is big data, one is small data. It doesn't mean small data is not important. Okay, in fact, small data tell us why it's happening. Okay, and big data tell us what is happening. Can you get it? Can you get a simple idea as that? Let me give you an example. Let's say you say you have a website and then you track all the user who visit your website and you have a lot of data right in a Google Analytics. That is actually tell you almost it's half right. It's like what is happening and why it's happening. This is why developer, you're going to ask them about what happened to my website and then what is happening and why the user actually come here, so you can see from landing page to the checkout page, then you can see why it's happening, right? Okay, big data is telling you what is happening. Can get it? Still blur, right? Okay, never mind. Let me try a few more methods. Okay, I give you one example. Remember just now I mentioned about Excel. Did you know that Excel maximum rows you can create it in one sheet, in one not Google worksheet, is 1,048,576 rows. If you don't believe me, go and try it out right now. But be very careful when you create such an amount of rows, because it depends on your available memory and system resources to open the workbook later or even process the workbook. You can go and try it out. See how many rows and columns you can create. This exactly limitation is actually screen capture from Microsoft's support page and talk about worksheet and workbook specification and limits. Okay, and then under each column width, you can actually store 255 characters. Then each of the row height maximum is 409. Then the page breadth is something like this, and the total character that a cell can contain is 32,000 plus characters. Can you follow me so far? So remember I mentioned about big data is too large or too complex that can be processed by traditional software. So I know that Microsoft Excel will evolve a lot and getting more modern and more high tech. Okay, we call it and so on, right? But doesn't mean it's still a traditional software, correct? Because it was built about 30 years plus ago. Correct me if I'm wrong about the numbers, because I forgot the year Microsoft actually came out the Office. Anyway, my point here is there's a limitation here. So what if you have a data set that more than 1 million rows? You have 2 million, 3 million rows of data. So what you should do? You can't store in Excel anymore. You need to shift to another software, correct? So you are actually going to the direction in terms of big data area already. Actually, simple as that. It's just a definition. Doesn't mean you are doing something wrong or you're doing something small. Doesn't mean it's that. Okay. Let me give you one more insight here. Is we all know megabytes. Okay, we all know gigabytes, right? Okay. We starting to heard about people say about terabytes, correct? Then if you look at the chart here, it's actually start to move to petabytes and exabyte. And I think just a few years back, 2016, Cisco actually estimated we have passed 1 zettabyte in total annual internet traffic, which means the whole world, the bandwidth and the traffic transactions are around the whole world in total internet, we have passed 1 zettabyte. When we say that, which means somehow we have the data more than 1 zettabytes already. So we are in the zettabytes era. So just now when I mentioned about big data is petabytes, terabytes, I think that is few years back. Okay, now we are here. So according to Cisco as well, based on their calculations, 1 zettabyte is equal to 1,000 exabyte, 1 billion terabyte, and 1 trillion gigabytes. So in other words, that's a lot, right? At the same time, if we take about internet is not even 40 years old. Okay, it's probably younger than many of us here, have same age. Okay, then so by 2020, which is 2 years back, the annual traffic will grow over 2 zettabytes. So based on this kind of growth rate, let me share you one thing. By the way, before that, just for now also, okay, you talk about data analytics, people love you because they understand what is data analytics. But when you talk about big data, everybody lose their minds. It's either they are so excited about big data because they would love to see someone who talk about big data, or on the other hand is they just don't understand what is big data. Correct? Yeah, just for laugh, but at the same time it makes sense also. Yeah, this is good thing about me, man. Okay, next, let me show you. Just now I mentioned about the zettabytes era, right? So, mm, if you look at the history, since the day we have data and internet, okay, we start with exabyte, with gigabyte. Then 2006, total data was estimated about 160 exabyte level, and in 7 years, it's grow about 1,000%. So in our zettabyte era, okay, 1 gigabyte is no longer big data. Okay, so put it this way, when you want to talk about big data, it's not just about how much data you have on hand. You must compare to how much data the total population around the world have. Then only you can classify as a big data. Simple as that. Huh? So it's based on the calculation like this. We can assume that if your data sets is exceeds the total data created in the world divided by 1000 power by 3. You go and calculate this now, 1000 power by 3, and then only you consider yourself as big data. Okay, put it this way, this is mathematical terms. It's not really accurate, but just for you to have a simple idea how big data, I mean, how big is big data. Okay, do your own calculation. I don't bother you. Okay, for me actually I'm fine whether it's so-called small data, big data, as long as you know what you're doing. Okay, let's carry on. And again, just for love, the grandpa always say back in my day, the so-called big data was stored in paper. It's true, right? You see those very traditional old office, like 100 years old office, they have an archive room with a bunch of papers and folders, and this is their big data already. And then if you try to digitize them, it's probably just not even 1 gig. It's true, right? Okay, it's very true, right? Because yeah, look at how optimized it is nowadays. We the way we store data, correct or not? Look at your Excel file. It's as simple as that. You might have a very complete accounts, but in the end, your Excel file not even 1 MB. But if you actually print out everything, it probably takes one drawer size. Okay, this is just another idea. Let me give you one more point here so that you wouldn't really look down on small data, because these two are for different purposes. Okay, big data help us to understand human actions and behavior. Okay, on the other hand, small data help us to understand attitudes, emotions behind behaviors. So give you an example. In terms of small data, brand loyalty data is we actually go into in-depth, and then we try to understand why certain people actually choose brand A compared to brand B. Okay, then on the other hand, in terms of shopper insight data, we use mobile diaries to capture the in-moment decision-making drivers. Sometimes your designer or UX specialist to tell you your button must be red color comparing to the green color, and then blah 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 reason, right? That is actually comes from small data. It's not from big data, because the small data actually tells you the patterns. Remember the slide I showed just now with a big tree and the leaf? Small data tells you why it's happening. That's why you get to know the why. And big data is telling you what is happening. Yeah, okay, put it this way. So much more, more example is like, for example, advertisement testing data is considered small data because we deploy a survey and then review the message effectiveness, the A/B testing stuff, small data. On the big data side, just now I mentioned about Google Analytics, right? Yes. Google Analytics data identifies search trends around categories, brands or products. Point of sale data, let's say your F&B operate more than 10 years, every day you have more than 100 transactions, then 10 years times daily 100 transactions. Yeah. Then you get to know about, date, time, location, what's the purchasing trends and so on. Then like click stream data, whether the online advertisement respond which side. For example, elections time, um, a lot of campaign to be conducted online, then that will actually check the trends. So that is big data versus small data is different. Okay, so let's carry on. I know you might still be blur, but bear with me. Okay, one more time. But this is also really true. I know it's a meme. It's not the size of your data that matters. It's about how you use it. Just now I already mentioned. Did I mention? Okay. It's not about how much data you have. It's about how much you understand about the data. So it's really about your analytics skills. Okay. That's why today is about big data analytics. Okay. So let's carry on. Okay. So how does a big data analysis really works, and how the whole thing, right? Okay, put it this way. Big data from public data, sensor data, structured data, unstructured, and unknown data source as well. So it's going through the analytic funnel. Okay, a lot of tools that capturing different kind of source, and then we do some refinement. We increase the quality because we want to drop out to false data as well, dirty data, something like that. So we try to decrease the volume of content. We do structuring and linking so that the data much makes sense. Okay, then we do syntactic and enhancement. Then only we move to the result side where you actually give your business. Sometimes people talk about business intelligence is very related to big data because these kind of insights generated will be give you a decision making when it comes to so-called business intelligence, right? That is why big organization that can do cost reduction, that can faster better decision, that can actually come out a new product or services because they understand the trends, they understand certain things that using your raw eye you can't see. Okay, for example, you go and observe a supermarket for 1 year. Everyone who purchase milk will most probably will purchase cereal, for example. Okay, then these two items is identically stay together. It's like if you do some promotion or for either item, the other item will be go sales higher. When people actually purchase more milk, they will try to find something, either coffee or uh, cereal, something like that. So you don't need to promote these two products at the same time. You just decrease the product on site, then the other one will be get much more demand. Something like that. Something like that. It's not entirely true. Um, it's not entirely fault also. Okay, this depends on the situation. By the way, yes. So let's carry on. Just for laugh one more time. A lot of people thought being data analysis is something like this: extract the data, establish a model, and then you with the AI and deep learning then done. Actually, no, it's not that simple. Okay, the true big data analysis is you're going through a lot of crazy process, from demand discussion to extract data to cleaning the data. Then you need to integrate the data. Then you need to find the value, the processing is missing. And then you need to feature the engineering, the software that cannot cover you. You need to come up with new solutions. And then you need to come up with a model to evaluate the data to provide the insights. From data to knowledge, the whole process. Data itself is nothing. It's just a records, a bunch of records. To generate data, abstract it into an insights and generate knowledge statement. That is the process. That is the big data analytic that's so challenging. Get the idea now? Okay, let's carry on. So in kind of big data process, definitely for me it's just simple 5 steps. Let me share with you. The reason I put zero because sometimes technical people might say this is not a reason. It's like by default it should be there, but because this channel is not built for it is built for average Joe. Everyone, even if you're a non-tech person, you are welcome to watch this. First, you define the big why. Why you want to process all the data. For example, you are a mini-mart owner, and then you have 10 years of records. Why you want to go through all the records and find a pattern and then understand the user, the customer purchasing trend. There must be a reason, okay? Define the big why before you go and do analysis. Else you're going to spend a lot of resources, and in the end, you don't know where you're going headed, and the resources might be wasted. So, zero by default, define the big why. Number two, which is the first thing first, do a proper data collections. Okay, imagine just now I mentioned an example. You are a mini-mart owner, have operating more than 10 years. Let's say all your records are on receipt paper. I pause here for a dramatic effect. I want you to imagine 10 years of transactions on receipt paper. How are you going to analyze it? It's terrible, right? It's like a nightmare, right? Let's say I ask you to digitize it. What are you going to do? Scan each of the receipt paper into a digital form. So data collection, you need strategy. Okay, you don't simply say, yes, I have the data. I don't care about what form it is. I just want to analyze it. It doesn't work that way, guys. Okay, so the first strategy you need to implement before you come to big data is make sure you have strategy when it comes to data collection. Okay, we talk about the forms of data, we talk about how we're going to store the data, we talk about how flexible are the data is to convert into another format. Yeah, think about that, because you're going to analyze the data, you're not going to just store. Okay, remember just now I mentioned in not Google, but Microsoft Excel, if you have more than 1 million rows of data in your work, in a workbook, and you try to open that Excel file, it really depends on your CPU power already. So if you have so much data put in a one Microsoft Excel, but none of the laptop consumer level, none of the consumer laptop can open the Microsoft Excel, then what for you have the Excel file? How are you going to do it? I pause again. It's not about internet lag. For a dramatic effect, I want you to pay attention about data collection, even though just two simple words here. If you don't have the software and you do have the strategy to do the collection, your very beginning of big data process is going to fail. Okay, going to fail doesn't mean 100% fail. Okay, you still get a challenge and you still get a chance to save it, but yeah, just why spend so much resources and time on that while you actually can try to not try, well, you can actually avoid this disaster. Okay, the first thing first, data collection. Then number two is coming data cleaning. Okay, I give you example that I thought about minimum. You have minimum, you have daily records, right? But sometimes you need to void receipt. Why? Wrong purchase, refunds, stuff like that. So those are the things you need to put it aside. When we say data cleaning, doesn't mean clean it out and delete. Sometimes we just doing categorizations. Okay, you those who really void, for example, mistaken type by the cashier, then you need to clean it out. So do your proper data cleaning. This one require a lot of skill set as well. Okay, you won't go through 10 years of transaction by raw eye, right? I don't know how you're going to do it. I know, yes, you can spend months or even years to go through it, but I don't think big data is asking you to do this. Okay, so data cleaning, do it smartly. Okay, you need to find the common error. Okay, find the factors. So we talk about statistics here. Sometimes you might actually evaluate wrong data set as a data to be cleaned out. So it really depends on the data scientist to determine what's the variable, okay, what the m square to be remove it. Okay, I'm not going to cover all the mathematics and statistics here, else you're going to burn out here. Okay, so data cleaning is step two. Then after you do the data cleaning, you have complete data already, right? Okay, it's actually not that simple. I give you this meme again. How to confuse your machine learning? Do you realize, oh, this looks like a dog? Some is muffin, right? You can tell, right? But take a glance like that, you actually very easy to confuse, correct? Yes. So even though you done your data cleaning, you might still confuse sometimes. Okay, whether the data actually is accurate or not. You will have to find a way to determine your data cleaning process is successful or not and is accurate or not. Okay, find it away. By the way, just this meme actually telling you machine can be wrong as well, because it's quite challenging. Yeah, even your oral I also like which is which. Okay, next one. The third one is the craziest part. Okay, once you've done all the process in terms of collection, cleaning, analyze. Analyzing is really related to the big why, because without a clear objective, I don't think your analyzing will be coming out a, a solid and constructive statements for you to pass to your business intelligence team or whoever actually need this kind of knowledge from the data that you extracted. So analyze the data. This part could be crazy heavily and relies on machine learning methods. Okay, I'm not going to cover that, but if you like it, talk about this really deep tech, I can cover it. Okay, just submit as next topics. Probably I will get a guide it. Okay, so carry on. After you analyze the data, you need to know how to intercept the results, because sometimes the after you analyze the data, it still doesn't make sense, right? Okay, you might need to actually link a few factors or a few data together, then only it makes sense. So someone had to read it and intercept the result and converting into a knowledgeable and human readable statements. So again, data scientists actually have to come in, business intelligence team have to come in to do this job. Okay, this is also quite crazy because imagine you spend about half year to do all the formulas from data collection, data cleaning, analyzing, then only you realize you can't intercept the result. You just can't find the common sense. Okay, I was there before in solar project and yeah, it's crazy. So let's move on. So there are 4 steps, including the zero one. So again, go back to the very initial statement that I mentioned previously, whether Google Analytics equal to big data or not. I would say this is excellent question. Let me review and share with you why is yes and why is no. Okay, the answer is oops to us. The answer is yes in terms of data collection. Google Analytics allows you to collect massive data. Yes, but if you want to digest, and I use the word digest, yeah, analyze the data, it could be challenging if the data is huge and you need another tool called Google BigQuery to actually intercept the results. If your website just have 2,000 100,000 visitors per month, you are safe. You're not in a big data world. Remember I explained a lot about what is big data and small data. Okay, it's not trying to say you're lower level. Okay, again, big data, small data both have their own challenge and advantage and pros and cons. It's not something like small is bad, big is better. No, okay. So put it this way, with Google Analytics plus Google BigQuery, then yes, you are in the game of big data already. If you're not involving in the big data scheme, Google BigQuery is kind of like pointless for you. Okay, so my answer is yes and no at the same time. Okay, let's carry on. Okay, just for laugh one more time, look at this meme or comic. Statistics and computer science say we can work together. So they say, please teach me statistics, then you become a data scientist. So in short, you need to learn statistics and computer science, then you will become data scientist. Remember just now I mentioned about that? Okay, so let me share with you the big data challenge when it comes to analysis. Number one, you want to make sure the big data accessible. Remember about I mentioned Excel have limitation. Okay, if your data keep pushing into Excel and then it will overload. Okay, number two, you need to maintain the quality. Imagine not imagine. I think you sure experienced before your Excel was too big and then you try to save and then is not responding, and then when you try to open it up, the data corrupted, correct? So if you want to maintain the quality of the data, you need certain techniques, okay, to you see if you read this to avoid the duplicates, errors, or conflicts and inconsistency and something like that. Okay. Number three, with such a huge data, you need to keep it secure. This is actually just like when bank try to keep all the cash securely in the bank work. Same idea. Okay, I don't need to explain much. And then the last one, which is the most challenging nowadays, is you need to find the right tools and platform, especially flexible and scalable. Because you don't know, maybe today you have 1 terabytes, then next day you have 1 exabyte, and the next day you have 1 zettabyte, you don't know. Okay, so 4 simple challenge but common one. Okay, so think about that. And to wrap it up, I already put it up the list of software that for you to cover your big data. um, if you're interested, you can go and click on it, because like I mentioned, not many organizations are in the big data game. Okay, if you are, please click on it. Take a look of the software that I recommended. Okay, it's actually more than the 5 listed, not listed on the logo here. So there are more. I'm going to update from time to time actually all the lists in all my live, not all my live, all my live series. Yeah, because for example, last time I talked about CRM, and then let's say 1 year later I found another good one, I'm going to update the list. So the list will be updated from time to time. Okay, so let's carry on. Yeah, I already covered most of the big data analysis. So the tools refer to the red up page. Tips I already shared with you, the so-called 4+1 simple steps. I'm going, and I also shared about the common challenges to be, pay attention and to avoid. Then the common misunderstanding between, the big data and small data. So that's all for today. And before I ended, remember I mentioned about, if you've done a great job in digital transformation for a business, product, service, or client or project, please submit your success story. They want to hear about it. That is Techpedia is about. Okay. And if you're going to feature in Hall of Fame, there are certain small fees to be incurred, including the certificate, the photo shooting, stuff like that. Yeah, please take a look at the website. Okay, refer to the video description. I'm going to give free away. Okay, just follow my social media. I'm going to share it out. And then the upcoming one, yes, as per usual, the next topic you decide. Yes, go to the link, click here, or in the video description. You can do 2 things here. One, you can suggest a new topic. If you want to talk about machine learning, yeah, just type here, type in the poll. Okay, or you can look at the topics that other people have been suggested. You can vote on it, because the highest vote will be the next topic every week. Will be like that. Okay, so let's get the result. Now, the highest result after the big data is minimum viable product management, is hitting a 37%. So it's quite high. Quite a number of people actually vote for this part. And yeah, here we go. So next week, let's talk about MVP, minimum viable products. And let's talk about what is that, how we do it, and why we need that. Okay, next GoDigital Live series, we talk about MVP. And remember, Techpedia Hall of Fame will be giveaway, but still subject to your qualification. But at least you get the chance, to submit it and without incur any fees for you. So go and follow up my social media on the giveaway. And the question, I'm not going to cover the question today. Okay, I'm going to cover in the social media as well, not on the previous slide. Yeah? Okay, so follow my social media on the giveaway. And remember, every Wednesday at 15 p.m. UTC plus 8 time zone, Go Digital live series. So thank you so much for following me and watching this episode about big data analysis. If you're someone who really passionate about big data and you love to extract data, you are someone who trying to learn about knowledge engineering, and knowledge management in the digital world, yes, we are on the same page here. And even you're just interested, but you do have the technical skill or experience or knowledge, it's fine. Let's discuss more here. And thank you so much for watching and joining me. I hope you enjoy these episodes and you might learn something. If yes, please give me one big fair word, even though just 0.1 second for you. Click a like, okay, then subscribe to my channel and put a ring to show your little support. Okay, for me it's a huge support. For you, actually just one tap or one click, right? But thank you so much, everyone. Love to see you one day, live, or perhaps we can meet each other in a Zoom session or anything. I don't know, but I really want to thanks every one of you, and I appreciate every single effort out there. And if I make any mistake, please comment and let me know. And if any feedback, you're welcome to PM me anytime. Follow my social media, and thank you so much. My name is Chong, signing off from Technology Simplicity Go Digitalize series. See you again next Wednesday. Stay home, stay safe. Bye bye.